there's a First Nations community in Ontario or north of Ontario in Canada, you know, in the northern part that have declared a national state of emergency because last weekend 11 of their children attempted suicide. And even though that this, I guess, incident is being isolated to northern Canada, I think that there's a long-standing problem with First Nations people and the attention that they received for the types of depression that they have over the years, and I think that it's neglectful. You know, one of the interesting facts. It's not interesting. It's a saddening fact about Canada, is that you know, and I'm not trying to pick on Canada, but they are part of the United Nations, which is something that the United States pretends to be a part of or whatever. And so I think that they should be held accountable for the way they treat their indigenous peoples, the same way that they should be held accountable here. You know what I mean? And you know, and you got things like putting Tubman and Jackson on a $20 bill, and you don't understand that suicide rates are climbing. You got people out in these rural communities, and they receive no. I mean, how are they going to go see mental health counselors and understand why they don't have any relatives anymore because most of them have already been killed off in wars that happened before they were alive? Like, is this country taking steps to address those issues with young people? Is Canada doing that with theirs? I doubt it. You know, as far as place standard of living, Canada is rated number 6 in the whole fucking world for a standard of living. But their indigenous peoples, you know, the people that we refer to in the United States as Native Americans, their equivalent of in Canada, they rate 63rd. And it's a fucking perfect example of how white people, in general, don't give a fuck about anybody but themselves. And I think that you know, and I think about what's going on in Crescent City with Dante and his mom and all that shit, and why, and after some shit like that in Delaware County, we already have a high suicide rate in Delaware County, and you think it's not going to go up after the way that the authorities have handled fucking Dante's case? I think it's a shame that the state of emergency has been isolated to the First Nations people of Ontario. You know what I mean? What about the rest of us? What about all of these folks, which is all of us, with tribal ancestry, which is all of us, trying to function in this falsehood of a fucking civilization? You know, and the response to the situation in Ontario is now they have 5 mental health workers on the ground. I never even seen one mental health worker in Klamath. I've heard of a couple, but I've never actually seen them. How long is this country gonna keep sweeping their skeletons under the fucking rug? And how long is Canada gonna do the same? And how long is every United Nations entity gonna do the same? They're gonna do it as long as we sit here and fucking let them, is the truth. But, you know, you can take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. But, you know, for a person not to have a conscience about it is a direct reflection of how much of a spine they have or don't have. But whatever. I gotta get ready for work.